Hello, Monarch Nation. Thanks for popping in to catch another Monarchist video. We're joined today by ODU field hockey coach Andrew Griffiths. Coach, thanks so much for hopping on with us, and congrats on your 3-1 win over Liberty to win the Big East title. I'd love for you to kind of walk us through what it was like for you and your team as its final seconds ran out, and then when you finally knew that you had secured that auto bid to the NCAA tournament.
Well, the final feeling was just awesome. I mean, just such a great moment for our team that we've been working for a long time. The final seconds of the final few minutes there were pretty stressful because they pulled their goalie and they had us under a bit of pressure, and we weren't couldn't comfortably get the ball out of our backfield. So they had a few corners. Our defense played a phenomenal game. But right till the end, you never know. It's not done till it's done. And a couple of goals is not enough of a cushion to really relax in the last 5 minutes. Because if you get one, then, all of a sudden everyone's really stressing because pressure can happen fast. And in field hockey, the ball moves fast. So you can get an overhead or a big hit in, and you get a lucky bounce, and you get a penalty corner, and then you're all of a sudden under a lot of pressure in the last second. So we've learned not to take anything for granted. So just to keep working at it and keep fighting. But when the whistle blew, it was a great feeling.
Yeah, I know a lot of Monarch fans who are watching were incredibly excited as well, just kind of knowing what this team had gone through to get over the hump. But during the game, it's you go down early 1-0, you come back in, you tie it, and then Marlon DeBryan had just an incredible laser of a goal off a penalty corner that proved to be the game winner. How satisfying was that for her and for you, especially kind of considering that some may argue that she was snubbed for Big East Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, she had all the stats, but she is a kind of a polarizing personality. She's a really strong player and tough, and she's got that goal scorer's mentality. That little bit of selfishness that you need to be a goal scorer. You need to have that edge on that killer instinct on the field. And she's got that. So she's, people, not everyone loves her, but she's good at her job of scoring goals. And so I think, it's funny because, if you look at the stats, you looked at all the stats, the Big East stats, the national stats, you would have said, if you're looking at goals, game-winning goals, I think she had 6 game-winning goals, probably 7 now in the season. And overtime goal against Providence, and just big moments. And she's come up big in big moments. So happy for her as well. And then she was on the all tournament team, and so it's just kind of it's never about the individual awards, but it always people always take it into consideration, of course.
And polarizing or not, I know that we in Norfolk and Old Dominion fans do love her, love watching her play. Definitely a different type of player that can dominate some games. So we were happy to see her get that game-winning goal because it was. If you haven't seen it, there's clips on social media. It was an absolute laser that went in, and I think really kind of put Liberty on their heels for the rest of the game.
Yeah, we scored. Our corners were really on point. We scored 3 corner goals. And actually, Liberty's had no more than 2 goals scored on them in any game this season. Their corner defense is usually very good, so our execution had to be good, and it was fantastic. So that's a big part of corners are a big part of the game in field hockey, and ours were on point, and thank goodness.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that because I know there were some comments from you earlier in the season that penalty corner unit wasn't just not able to put the ball in the cage and get on the board. Were there any big adjustments that were made throughout the season as far as like approach or personnel to penalty corners, and what kind of help that group gel a little bit towards the end of the season?
Well, it's kind of. I think it's kind of like a team. Through the season, you figure out what's working best with this group and what's not. And there's individual dynamics, but there's execution under pressure. Who can do it when the pressure's on. You might look really good in training, but then in the game, it's a different story. So small adjustments. But Peter and Nat, our assistant coach and associate head coach, they take the lead on our attacking penalty corners, and I basically, unless there's something really big, I let them run the show, and so early in the season our percentages were not good, but what happens usually, and I said this to the team, over time. The ball is going to bounce your way sometimes. It's not, but in the end, it all evens out. And so that happened to us. We got a little lucky on one. Our defensive corner unit was awesome. They were fantastic, and but the one deflected up and hit the post and went out instead of going in. So those kind of things. That's where the bounces go your way, and I said to our team, "You 100% earned that." We've had other bounces earlier in the season. We had a 2-1 loss to UNC that was close. I think we hit the post in that game. We had a 1-0 loss to Duke, overtime with Michigan. And so all those teams were, at the time, top 5 teams. And so we've been really close, and the bounces haven't gone our way, but they went our way at the time that it mattered, which is perfect.
Awesome. Well, talking a little bit about defense, it's really kind of been a staple for this team for several years now. I feel like you are always very strong defensively. What's your approach to defense, and how do you get some of these very talented players to buy into that defensive mindset and protecting the back line?
Well, I guess my whole coaching philosophy and the way we approach the game is our style of play really starts, and our defense starts with the front line. So our press is one of, I would say, our biggest strengths, our defining characteristics as a team. So we change it to game depending on what the opponents like to do, and try and take away their whatever their preference is or their biggest strength is. And so that was why we played Liberty the way we did. We dropped off to a 3/4 or 2/3 court, instead of pressing high, because they have a player who can throw a big overhead. And so a lot of teams try and press them high, and then they just go over the top and basically nullify your first 2 lines of defense. So the defensive mentality is really, at the core of our coaching approach with the team, because it's really a controllable thing. It's not something that requires incredible amount of skill or incredible amount of talent. It requires focus, concentration, and following the plan. So our goal with defending is, you don't always have to go and win the ball, but you've got to contain the play where it is. And what we try and do is pressure the opponent to make a pass under pressure that is going to be either a little offline or a difficult one to receive. Let them make the mistake, but we force them into mistake by being disciplined with our positioning and our pressure. And so that's what's worked so well for us, and we did it. The best thing about the game Sunday, we played our best game of the season, at the right time, and it was great. The defensive line from the front all the way back, it's tough to get through us.
Yeah, I mean, definitely peaking at the right time. Now winning 12 in a row and heading into the tournament. Quite a streak there. But staying on the topic of defense, Nicole Fredericks is named tournament MVP. Those that follow the program closely know the adversity she's gone through over the past year with injuries, hip surgery. How did it feel for you to see your captain that's gone through all of that, not only get the Big East championship and go to the tournament, but also to take home MVP after all that?
Yeah, it's so well deserved. She's a phenomenal captain. could talk a lot about her, but she has been through a lot this year, and she's as tough as nails. And it was interesting. She had an interview after the game, and she she's a very steady person. She's a very calm person, and so you don't see her get emotional very much. And in her interview after the game, the emotions started coming out, and she started tearing up a little bit. And I was watching it again on Monday morning, and I was getting choked up and I texted her and I said, like, I just watched this interview again, and it's giving me it's giving me some strong emotions. And she said, yeah, a lot of people have said that to me because normally I'm not very emotional. I don't show She doesn't show her emotions, but she's such an important player on our team and an influence in all the good ways, a steadying influence, a calming influence, um, a quietly motivational influence, and she's got respect from every single person on the team. There's no one who would and staff member and teacher and everyone who knows her has a heck of a lot of respect for her because she's just a model of integrity and focus on what she's doing and excellence at what she's doing. She's a 4.0 student. She got accepted into Delaware's physical therapy school, which is the number one school in the country. So she's gonna be going there uh, next year, and so it's been I've been very lucky to have her to coach for 5 years with the extra COVID year, and what a quality person! I can't say enough about her.
That's impressive, both on the field and off the field, getting into that program at Delaware. So wherever she goes, I know Monarch fans will continue to be cheering her on, and certainly this week going up and playing Maryland. Changing gears a little bit to talk a little bit about your approach to scheduling. You really try to take on the highest level competition in non-conference. I think almost every team you played in the non-conference, for the most part, was ranked at some point in the season. Many of them in the top 10 powerhouse programs. How have those early season challenging games paid off for you over this current 12-game win streak?
Well, it was funny because the last staff meeting that I was able to go to, our all staff meetings with the coaches and all the athletic department members, you know, the in season sports usually get up and talk about their programs, and how things are going. And I said, well, right now we're 2-5, and so at that point we were 2-5, and so I said our record sucks, but there's some good things happening, and I knew before the season that this team had something special in them. We played those tough teams. Our opening game against Delaware was tough because we outshot them 18-9, and we should have won that game, but we didn't take our chances. But aside from that, our other losses were Liberty, who was right up there at the time, the first time we played them, then UNC, then Duke, then Michigan in overtime. And they were all one goal games. So it was one of those things where the only thing that mattered was just keeping the team together and on board with things, and not letting the losses, play with your mind and give you doubt, because that's the only thing that could have derailed it. Because we learned from the whole approach was, you play those teams so that you can learn and what your weaknesses are and what you need to work on. And then our schedule went to Temple, got the first win, and then William and Mary, who also ended up winning their conference. They end up winning the CAA, and we took care of them. And then it just from there on, we just found ways to win games in different ways. Like our Providence game was a tough game. It was terrible weather. There was pouring rain. We were down a goal, and we pulled the goalie with 6 minutes to go, and tied it up and won in overtime. So that was that was one of those moments where the team's character really showed. And same thing happened later in the season against UConn. We were down, pulled the goalie, tied it up, and then won it in overtime. So the the team's kind of battle tested. They've worked through all those tough moments and had some tough losses early, but stayed together. And a lot of that's due to Nicole and some of the senior players on the team that have been around, and they just kept working at it. And our training sessions have been really good all season. We're Our Tuesday practices, which are our hardest practices of the week, our metrics that we track the metrics, the running metrics. They're the hardest. They're the hardest practices. They're harder than some of the games. Um, and the level is very high on both because we've got a lot of other players who are pushing for positions, which has also been good. And so, just the watching the growth of the team has been such an awesome thing. And seeing them from where we started to where we are now, and all the ups and downs that we've been through, and culminating on Sunday, and we got more to go. So it's been a great journey so far.
Well, speaking of difficult opponents, you have another one on Friday at noon in the first round of the NCAA tournament. You travel up to College Park to face Maryland. For those who may not know, much like ODU, Maryland is historically one of the best field hockey programs in the country. They have 8 national titles. ODU has 9. Tell us a little bit about Maryland. Their coach, who has won, I think, 7 of those 8 national titles, and kind of what Monarch fans can expect on Friday.
Well, I can tell you a lot about Maryland because that's where I started coaching when I came to the U.S. So I was there from '98 to 2004, and so I know the coach very well. She's a good friend of mine, and I was texting her yesterday and today, and she was really happy actually for us because she's wanted success for me and my role here, and so we have a good relationship, and she's done a phenomenal job consistently being taking that team from the ACC to the Big Ten, and when I was there it was ACC, and they've just been consistently successful. She's a great recruiter. She recruits the best of the best, and they're a tough team. But if you look at Liberty's record this year, is pretty unbelievable. They had a they have had a great season. They beat UNC. They've beaten some other really good teams. Their only loss was to Duke prior to us, and that was a 1 goal game. I think it was Duke. It was a 1 goal game, maybe overtime. But they were ranked sixth. Maryland at the time was ranked fifth or fourth, depending on what you look at. So we're certainly not afraid to go there and play them. We're not afraid to play anyone because after that early stretch where we just came out on the losing end, we were not playing the way we are now. We're now playing. Our backs were solid. Our back lines were solid, and our defending group as a whole was solid. But we weren't really moving off the ball in offense enough, and we weren't being creative enough, and we weren't scoring enough goals. Now we started scoring goals and started creating more dangerous attacking threats, and so I don't think there's many people want to play us right now, to be honest. I think they probably look at it and go, shoot, hope we don't draw them in our bracket. So
Yeah, yeah, coming off.
bottom line is we're excited. I mean, the whole team's fired up to play, and we're not going just to take part. That's for sure. We're going to face the challenge and come out with 2 wins of the weekend.
Yeah, I can't say I would want to be matched up with a team that's won 12 straight and has the season of playing so many difficult teams on their schedule and then knocking off a Liberty team that was really one of the best in the country prior to coming in. So I know Monarch fans will be tuning in to cheer you on, rooting for you, hoping we're figuring out where we're going to play in the next round, but we know it's a tough one ahead. One more question for you before we wrap up here. After the game on Sunday, ODAF emailed out and published the links for the Field Hockey Enhancement Fund. We have it out on all of our social media channels. We'll have it a link to it in the description here on this video, then also at odumonarchist.com. Strongly encourage fans to donate to that program because it does go directly to field hockey. But coach, what are some of the biggest needs and some of the things that the money from that enhancement program will be going towards?
Well, the way the college landscape has shifted, we're expected to and we're able to compete with the Power Five schools, and we challenge them, we beat them sometimes. But our resources, just as a mid-major, it's just we don't have the same resources. So everything that we do, we have to kind of give and take a little bit. So for example, like when we're doing our schedule and we want to fly to Michigan, uh, that costs money, and so we need support for the budget for those things. We need a video review system, which we don't have, and we're one of the only teams in the Big East currently that doesn't have that. So we need funding for that. We need funding towards our scholarship fund to make sure that we're fully funded in the same way that Ohio State, for example, or Maryland, our opponent on Friday, is. So every bit of direct contribution helps us. We've had some great donations and great help in the past, and we appreciate. And I think we're providing a pretty good product on the field. If you come watch one of our games, I think you'll be entertained, and you'll maybe you'll be enticed to give a little bit more.
Field hockey games are fun to go to. They are entertaining. They are fast. There's a lot more contact than you would expect coming into a field hockey game, and you'll spend a lot of time trying to Google what the rules are and what's going on. So,
Mhm.
educational experience. Plus, it's very entertaining. I've been to several this year, and it's been great. So if you see the link for that Field Hockey Enhancement Fund, please check that out, and give what you can to support the program that just won a Big East championship and is headed to the tournament. But Coach, thanks so much for taking some time out of what I'm sure is a very, very busy week for you to chat with me for a little bit. Good luck on Friday. You have all of Monarch Nation behind you.
Great. Thanks so much for having me, and thanks everyone for watching.